Every now and again, as a gamer, you stumble across a game which leaves an impact on you, either through the story or even just the gameplay. And for me, this happened with this game, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. I picked this up when it was on sale, looking for a game which didn't require me to grind out for 40 plus hours to reach a conclusion in the story. And this game does that. It's a short game which you can finish in one sitting, which isn't a bad thing. In fact, due to how well the story is, I didn't want to stop playing. It gives you a warning instantly that this is a narrative experience that does not hold your hand, and considering half the games I played recently which have no help at all, I'm starting to think I like to put myself in challenging situations. But it is true to its word. We are once again dropped in and left to figure out things by ourselves. If you are like me, on any start to a new game, I instantly go off the main path and explore, which in this game is key. When you go off the main path at the start, you find one of the first puzzles of the game, finding all the traps. Now I really like how they did the puzzles in this game, and how they did the murder scenes, but I'll come on to that later. With the puzzles that don't involve a murder scene, it is different for each puzzle, which is nice as it doesn't get repetitive doing them. For example, with the traps, when you find them all, you can then open a portal to a note and a clipping from a paper. The note is a story that Ethan has created, and a newspaper clipping almost seems related to that story, as if Ethan got inspiration from that event. You also get a short conversation, normally between Ethan and a family member. These puzzles are done well in my opinion. You complete the puzzle, and then you get an understanding of why you were completing the puzzle. For example, with the traps, when you find them all, Ethan's story is related to those traps, the story being called SAP. It doesn't seem like a pointless puzzle. It has meaning as to why you were doing what you did, and of course adds to the main story. My favourite puzzle though has to be the spaceman one. The actual puzzle itself of finding the lights and doing them in the correct order is basic. You can complete that through trial and error, as is following the spaceman to the spaceship. The reason I like this puzzle is the travelling up to space. I think that is done so well, and it is beautiful. Travelling through a wormhole with all the lights just gives credit to how well this game is made graphically. It is beautiful, and you can almost get lost in that short amount of time you're going through the wormhole. And even when you get up to space and see all the stars and other spaceships, just wow. That's all I've got to say about that. That brings me on to my next point of this game. The graphics. For a game made in 2014, and I know they have released a Redux version with enhanced graphics, which I was playing, but credit where credit is due, this game is beautiful. It looks stunning, the environment, the overall vibe with the sunlight shining and mists in the trees. I don't think I have played a game that looks this nice in a long time. Even the trees and leaves rustling, the small attention to details makes all the difference. And just to get a little rant off my chest, the fact that a game can look this beautiful and doesn't take a beast of a computer to run makes me so happy. I have just bought a new graphics card to be able to play Assassin's Creed, so I think I'm still butthurt over spending that much, but it just proves that it can be done. As you go further down the road and across the bridge, you come to a small train, which has blood on it, and then eventually a body when the legs have been cut off. I give you 3 guesses on how this guy was murdered, but to come on to the point I was making earlier about the murder scene puzzles, these are again done in a really good and unique way. When you get to the train, you can inspect the blood and the crankshaft. When inspecting the crankshaft, it shows you a glimpse of where the crank is, and it's down to you to explore and find it, which I really like. It forces the player to explore the map, doesn't give you a marker on where it is. When you eventually find the crank and fix the train, you have to move the train back to its original position before the murder, back on the dry grass. Finally, you must find the rock, which is done in the same way of showing you a glimpse of where the rock is and replace it on the pile of rocks. Once everything is back in its original position before the murder, you can inspect the body, which puts you in a flashback where each major event happened for the murder to occur. Now this bit I think is done so well. You have to find all the memories or events and then put them in a chronological order of when they happened. Once you have figured that out, it shows the actual murder happening. I like this way of solving a mystery, replacing everything back to its original position and then deducting yourself how the murder happened. Tells the story in an interesting and a different way of doing it, something I haven't seen before. This formula carries on throughout the game, with every murder scene you come across. I will say they do get easier once you understand what you're doing. However, the church one, that one can go stuff itself. Found that one so hard to put in order for some reason, and it took me so many tries to get it right. Talking about the murders brings me on to the main part of this game, which is obviously the story. Being a narrative driven game, the expectations for the story to be good are high. This game has to have a good story due to the fact that it's the main appeal of these types of games, and it does not disappoint. The way I see it, you almost have multiple stories in one. You have the main story of Ethan and his family, who have all been taken over by the Sleeper, who apparently wants to murder Ethan, but you also have multiple short stories, which Ethan creates, and you discover these through the puzzles you do. The trap one, the spaceman, the magician, the witch forest, and the mining one, which by the way, is bloody scary to play. As someone who hates horror games, I struggled with completing that puzzle, as a scary miner with a lantern chases you around as you try and complete it. But this is what I mean by how good the story and stories are. They are all interesting. The ending is sad. I won't spoil it for people who have not played it yet, but the way it ties it all together and makes sense of what you were doing with each story and why you were doing each story, in my opinion, is 10 out of 10. Games like these don't get enough credit. What I mean by games like these are narrative-driven short games that take 5 hours or so to complete. These are hidden gems. With a game that is this short, developers take more time and attention to detail through the story, through the music and the graphics. They can truly create an amazing experience for the player. They don't have to create a massive world and a 40-hour long story, where understandably there are times in those games where the story may falter, or the music becomes repetitive, or even the graphics quality may drop. Just thinking now, what other game you can say was released in 2014 and still look good to this day? There is not many out there, and even fewer in this style of game. They would mostly be AAA games made by big studios. So credit to the developers for doing an amazing job on the graphics. But having played this game, I obviously looked up the developers, the Astronauts, on Steam to see if they have released any other games like this. And it pains me to say they have not, which makes me a bit sad if I'm honest, as I know if they release another game in this style, I would buy it instantly and not wait for a sale. I have uploaded my full gameplay if you guys wanted to watch it, as it is only a short game, and I feel with a game like this, with it being so short and almost like a movie in some ways, you deserve to see the full gameplay, and to see me fail on many puzzles. If you guys like the idea of me uploading the full gameplay of the games I play, with no talking over, let me know in the comments of this video or the gameplay video, and I'll continue doing that going forward. Thank you again for all the support you guys show me over the recent videos. I do always say it in the description, but I really do appreciate you watching. So make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.